Hello and welcome to Shain Gallery. My name is Kurt Butler, and this is my one-man show here in April. And I'd like to take a few moments to walk you through the beautiful space here, and also at the same time to talk about the series of paintings as a whole, as a collection, along with some of my thoughts in creating them. So welcome to the show. I'm going to do a quick walkthrough of the gallery here just to show you the body of work as a whole. And I'm always impressed with the lighting here, the hanging of it, just to see it all together and its culmination is always impressive to me. And I worked on them all, so I know what they look like. But again, to see them all together is really powerful for me. And this series is really about the word iconic. I like iconic imagery, in this case, coastal in theme. And coastal, iconic to me means change. I think the changing tides is a good way to put it. And you definitely see that along the coast. You have weather-worn things everywhere because of those tides, because things are changing. And so the marscapes for me really become about journeys. The journey that we're all on, my journey in particular, the people we meet along the way, how that affects us as an individual. And that's really what this is about, underlying the iconic imagery that you might see throughout here. Marshes are generally implied journeys, and it's kind of a metaphor for journeys. Birds are individual people, groups of people that you meet along the way. And boats are about the vessel, our own personal selves, and how that changes as a factor in all of it. So as you're looking at these, I hope you get a sense of that. Along with that, I think the style that I really have been working now with for a while now has been expressionism. And I like to put the paint on in a way that is sometimes weather-worn to get that kind of effect that I'm talking about. The coast definitely has this feeling of things being weather-worn, and I want that to come across in the way I apply the paint to give more expression into what I think I'm feeling in the underlyingness of it all. And I like the idea that expression power meets nominal subject. That's really how I would put it in a nutshell. Painting has history, it has surface, it has intention, it has contrasting energy, which meet a kind of lyrical or forceful subject that you're forced to know already. And so I hope that gives you a little bit of a glimpse into the overall collection and my intentions behind it. This first piece is called The Hour of Tidal Reflection, and it's really the first piece in the series that started getting me going on the idea of a changing tide, or the tide in terms of movement and season and our own personal change on our own personal journeys. And the shadow here that the beach chair casts almost acts like a sundial. So that's the hour in the hour of tidal reflection. And sitting in a chair reflecting, whether you, the viewer, put yourself there, or whether we've been there and then left and now reflecting on things that have changed. That's really what this piece is about, along with the forceful mark making and expressionism that lead your eye throughout this painting, left to right, up, down, really to imply the movement of a tide. This next piece is called Evening Majesty, Harboring Wide Open Mystery. And this is really the romantic start, the wide-eyed, majestic live oak that overlooks the journey to begin and the mystery to that. A lot of the different lighting here involves the light in the pools of water below, as well as the lighting way off to the right, and then also in the middle with a lens glare that comes through the middle of the trees there. And a lot of the paint and application here is almost dripping off the canvas. It's lyrical to imply the Spanish moss, but also to imply kind of a dreamlike state. This is Swimming Green Crescendo Holds, and I really wanted the idea of a different point of view of a marsh that was panoramic and had a lower perspective. I really think that comes from the bigger idea of having different perspectives within our own journeys. And the idea here in the foreground is really to have enough abstraction to really imply the idea of a crescendo in music as we go from low up to the middle ground highness of this. And the middle ground here is hopefully abstract enough that you start to get the idea that the high and low of these grasses almost reads like music. And I think that implies the idea of a rhythm and a pace to our own journeys, and really finding our own rhythm within and then holding on to that. This next piece is called Distant Mass Casting Sway, and it's really the follow-up piece of the last one with a crescendo. Only instead of left to right, I'm leading you from foreground to background that leads you back into the distance. And the mass here of the different boats are an introduction of something that interrupts the horizontal journey that we're on. And because of that, they're casting sway or influence on us. And the mark making here up close is really a dichotomy of that in terms of horizontal and vertical marks to imply that idea. And then as you back up from the piece, you see the drama between the contrast of the left side of the canvas being cool and the right side of the canvas being warm. Again, another contrast between the dichotomy of it all. This next piece is called Refuge, and it is the boat or the proletariat hero on the journey. It's a literal vessel, the body. It's a refuge because of everything it has encountered or taken in along the way. And the mark making here in terms of layers of paint is very heavily bodied to imply that character, and also the mark making within the thickness of those layers. And like an old boat would, it has plenty of scars, but there's a beauty to those scars that give it the character that it needs to travel on the journey. This is Earthwork Pale Moon Blades Keeping Watch. And this is really an egress off into a little safe harbor in the journey of it all, a stopping point. And it started to remind me as I painted the left side and the right side of this, these sawgrasses, these mounds, the earthwork, really started to remind me of a fortress that's set up with a single drawbridge through the middle. We have the left side and the right side keeping watch. And so these earthworks or these mounds of sawgrasses are really for protection and keeping something in that feels safe for us. And the mark making, again, is really about the rhythm and the blades of grass. But in this one, I would say, because it's such a long piece, leading your eye from left side to the right side, and then all the way back into the middle of this, where we feel safe, and it's a safe harbor as the day closes and we get into the pale moonlight. I'm going to end the journey here and make this part 1, or 6 paintings into the show, and the other 6 will be part 2. So a bit of a cliffhanger here. But again, thank you for watching and listening. And if you have any questions for purchasing or details, please call Shain Gallery 704-334-7744. Thank you.